Hello, Facebook. Whoops. This is called Improvise. Welcome to day 2 of creating cultural legacy. And I am frozen on Zoom, so I've decided to come to you. Let's see, join a new meeting. I'm going to see if I can do that. Well, I can't do that. So we're going to do it this way. And I'm going to bring you on. See if I can bring someone on. Let's see, will it let me? I see one person. Let's see if I can swipe and see who that is. Is that you, Miss Nadia? See if I can. Yep. Oh, that's Isabella. Hello, Isabella. So glad to see you here. I am going to let my friend now. This is called technically challenge day because my Zoom is frozen, but nevertheless, I am here. I am so glad I'm here and so glad you are here. I'm letting my other friend know I'm on live. Okay, this is called when things go wrong, as they sometimes do. There's a poem about that. We will persevere and make it through. Today is day 2 of creating cultural legacy. And here's my playbook. I happen to have my playbook in front of me. And I'm so glad to be here on day 2 to share. Oh, now I see my Zoom cameras coming on. This is interesting. I have a double whammy going on. It's just like, it just keeps getting better and better. Better and better. Lord have mercy. Reclaim host. Am I on 2 different places? Okay. I'm just going to keep going because what you don't see is in the background I have another screen and I have 2 Zooms coming up. Nevertheless, today is day 2 and I want to share with you about investing. Somebody must not want you to hear about investing because there are all sorts of obstacles coming in the way. Nevertheless, we will persevere. Let's see, ringtone I hear, background. Okay, I believe I have 2 different, 2 different Zooms going in the background. I'm amazed at all of this that's happening. Looks like I'm connecting to audio on one device. And Miss Isabella, you're on my screen. Would you like to come up and say something to my audience? Really, I'll just give a brief recap of yesterday. Yesterday, we talked all about owning it, owning real estate. And we talked about from the sense of creating a cultural legacy, what can you create? I see some of you looked at the homework. I see some of you downloaded the playbook, or you sent me a link to request the playbook. Really, all you do is click on the link where it says, I want the playbook, and you'll get the playbook. I'll send you an email. This playbook that I worked on has a lot of blood, sweat, and tears from my life that I want to share with you because each of us has our own story. And yesterday I shared with you my origin story on how it started for me. The Zoom link is, I see the Zoom link, Miss Nadia, but for some reason it is frozen in the background. That's why I'm on Facebook. My Zoom link is saying choose one audio. Let's see, maybe you're on here. I'm going to do a quick test. My audio is not working on the Zoom, so we won't worry about that. It's still showing connecting audio. So right now we're live on Facebook, and that's what I'll go for. So Miss Nadia, if you would like to come on screen, you have to click on something to say bring me on screen. That's what we're doing. We're just making this thing work because I believe this information is so valuable to you, which is why there's so many obstacles. You ever have that problem when you're doing the thing that you know you need to do, that you're called to do, and there's obstacles in the way? If there weren't obstacles, then maybe that's not what you're supposed to be doing. So this gives me more validation that this is exactly where I need to be. I'm doing exactly what I should be doing. I'm in the right place, doing the right thing. And I see Some people are trying to get in Zoom. I do apologize, but if you look at the Facebook page, you'll see the live streaming. People are clicking on the Zoom link, and for some reason, Zoom, oh, now I see Miss Nadia's coming on the Zoom link. I just have all the things going on. So I'll just do while I'm preparing the technology in the background. I just want to thank those of you who did take a look at the replay from yesterday where I shared about ownership and about some mindsets and about culture. I even shared with you this little lesson on leadership from Kung Fu. It's called the Kung Fu Grasshopper series. And in that series, I'm going to slide my Zoom link over just in case this starts working. Okay, Miss Nadia, I see you're on Zoom now. But my audio is not working on Zoom. Can you hear me on Zoom? Can you hear me on Zoom, Miss Nadia? No? It still says connecting to Zoom. Okay, I'm going to fix this little problem here. Audio doesn't work. That's right. That's right. I know how I can fix that. I know how I can fix that. I am going to get a headset and do the thing, right? I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to make this work by hook or crook. Oh, Lord have mercy. I love it. The Zoom link is in the event tab. For those of you who are looking for the Zoom link, it's in the events tab. Here we go. Your device is working properly, it says, but it's not working properly. So I'm going to continue. I see I'm on Zoom as well as live on Facebook. So I'll just continue using my Facebook Live from my phone because Zoom is acting up. So I'm going to let my co-host, my helpful friend, know that I'm on, oh, you are watching. I'm on Facebook Live. So, Miss Nadia, I can bring you onto the screen on Facebook. I'm working through the technology gap, and here we go. So I'm going to bring you onto the screen, and you could speak for a few moments while I test to see if I can get also the Zoom link to work. Okay, here you go. Send invite. Okay, adding you. I am adding you. Hopefully you'll be on soon. It says bring them on camera, bring them on video. Oh, you don't want it? I cannot hear you. Let's see, bring you on. I can't hear you. Okay. It says bring you on, but I don't bring them on. Miss Nadia, it is not, it says you're here, but for some reason you're not on camera. I see you're here. We won't worry about it. It won't allow me to bring you on. Like I said, the enemy is conspiring against me. That's fine. That's fine, because I'm still I see you. I see you, Miss Nadia. Are you on the main screen? Let me change this just in case. I have it on speaker view. I have it on speaker view, but my audio isn't working. So I'm going to change it to gallery because gallery view is working. And I'm going to pin myself just in case. I'm going to spotlight or pin myself just in case. Just in case this is live streaming, which I don't think it is, and my audio is acting up on the other end. Let's see, test speaker for some reason. Okay. I'm going to keep going because, like I said, when things are conspiring against you, that just means there's a greater calling for you. So I'm just grateful that I get to do this thing that I so love to do, which is sharing my knowledge with others. It's on Facebook, but not on Zoom. Correct. Because there's some issue with Zoom on my side, maybe. I don't know. Maybe there's a major issue with Zoom. I don't know, but I'm just glad I can continue to do this and share this with you. Now, I mentioned yesterday that I was going to post some homework on the Facebook group, and I did, and I saw several people look at it, and I did see some comments. So from those, you will enter into a wheel, which I'll spin tomorrow. So the more times you either watch the replay or you do your homework or you share your biggest takeaway, any of those things, or you purchase a playbook. And remember, the playbook is going towards St. Jude's. I love children, and each month that I do one of these challenges, I will have a nonprofit that I'll share the proceeds with. So that is what I will do with this challenge as well. So I created this challenge, Creating Cultural Legacy, because I wanted to share not only my story, but I wanted to share hope and encouragement for those of you who may not have this same, got your playbook. Awesome. Okay, so I want to make sure that those of you who maybe either don't have a um, don't have a desire to own real estate, to maybe open your mind and give you a sense that it's not just for you, right? When we build wealth, when we acquire wealth, which real estate happens to be the number one, sorry, I'm seeing my hair sticking all over. That's okay. Squirrel. Real estate is the number one way to build wealth. Now, is wealth just for you? I say not. Wealth is for us to share with others. And that is what we're going to talk about today, how we can amass and create the wealth so that we can leave an inheritance for our children's children. The wealth that we acquire, the real estate that we acquire, is not just for us. It is for those we leave behind. We can't take it with us. It cannot go in the grave. So I want to do a short kind of an overview of what each day is about. Today is about investing. Yesterday was the foundation about ownership, culture, and mindsets. Today I want to lead with investing. When you hear the term investing, what do you think of? What do you think of when you hear the term investing? You can put it in the chat. What do you think of when you hear the word investing? When I heard the word investing for the first time, even before I was in real estate, I thought it was special people that had some expertise in what they were doing, which that's partially true. However, you can learn to be an investor. You might already be an investor in money. Yep, I think of money when I think of investor or investments. I think of money. Now, how do you get the money? Because brick and mortar, buildings, houses, they don't, they're not money, but they're even better than that. They have equity in them. And equity is basically a form of capital, a form of money. So I'll start with an investment story that you might be able to insert yourself in. Yesterday, I told you about purchasing my first house and how I was excited, all those different things. Now, as my family grew, I realized that that space was a little bit too small. So we looked for another house. Instead of selling my current home and purchasing another, which there's nothing wrong with that. That's called a move up buyer, or move up in the process of real estate. We call those move up buyers. I realized that I had an asset that I could do just like my father did, take a house that you lived in and turn that into your first investment. So that is an investment strategy that many wealthy people use. In fact, I have a mentor here locally who I just met with, and that's exactly what he did. He amassed about 50 properties by buying it, living in it for at least 2 years, because in the United States you have what's called capital gains. So within the first 2 years of living in it, he started to look for other real estate. And by year 2, he purchased another. So he continued to amass an investment portfolio of 50 or more properties by doing that. So if you are already a homeowner and you are looking to become an investor, this is the way to become an investor. If you already have a home, that is the perfect spot. You can rent out your home. You may decide you want to pay it off and pass that on to the next generation. However, if you want to amass more wealth so that you can not just help yourself, but you can help others, think about that as a possible strategy for investing. So when I heard the word investment, I'm thinking all of these different things. But as I got into this real estate field, I realized that many other realtors and brokers, either one, were not homeowners, or two, were not investors. So the primary vehicle that we use to sell, to help people, to be a, what's the right word I'm looking for? To be a resource, right? Realtors are resources. To be that resource for people, I couldn't see in full transparency not actually owning real estate for myself. So I thought the best retirement for me and my family would be, and I'm getting a lot of, okay, reclaim host. I'm getting a lot of disruptions in the background, but that is okay, because I believe Zoom is trying to let me on, but it's having some technical difficulties. But I'm so glad you're here with me on Zoom and on Facebook. On Facebook. So where I left off is many people, maybe realtors, real estate brokers, agents, do not either one, have their own home, or two, don't understand the strategy of investing, not just for themselves, but maybe even for other people. I tend to find when I started out that there were more savvy people in the arena than I was. And I thought, well, if I'm selling this commodity, if I'm providing a resource, then I need to know as much as I can about it. So I started to go to classes. I went to some commercial broker classes. I learned different strategies on how to invest. There are several different ways to invest. I just gave you one, which happens to be use your own property as your first investment. Now, there's other strategies where you might decide you want to keep your home, but you might decide you want to do something where you can create more wealth with real estate, such as wholesaling. I just met a gentleman yesterday who has a friend, that's all he does. He used to be a full-time broker, and he said he wasn't really making the type of money he wanted. So he started to do wholesaling. Now, wholesaling is basically, you don't have to put down any capital. You're basically finding the deal and then selling the deal to someone else. And the key word in wholesaling is and or assigns. And or signs. So when you write that contract, and you don't have to write the contract, you may not be licensed. When you find the broker to write the contract, the key word is and or signs. Now, it sounds very simple, but there's a lot of research and a lot of sweat equity, time, investment to figure out what's a good deal and what's not a good deal. So an example of wholesaling would be you acquire a property for $80,000 and the market value of it is $120,000. You find someone, a cash buyer, who is ready, willing, and able to get this good deal because it's worth $120,000, and you might decide to sell it for $100,000. Then the person who's purchasing it, that wholesale person, is getting a $20,000 discount on that purchase, and you're making $20,000 on that purchase. I mean, you can run the numbers however you want, but that's just an example of wholesaling. And you do not have to be licensed to wholesale. That's one strategy. There's many other strategies, so I'll just kind of tell you a couple more strategies. One is a lease option. You may find Well, yeah, I was going to tell you about another one, but lease option is a very simple one that you can use. Or you could go the traditional route and actually find something, get a loan on it, and turn around and rent that out as you amass. Co-selling. Is that a question? Co-selling? CU selling. Lease, it's leased option. Lease option, excuse me, that's LEASE, like a lease, like you're creating a lease. There are so many different strategies that we can take the time to go into detail in the VIP section, and I can actually assist you in that process. So if there's a strategy that you've heard of, like BRRRR strategy, like deed in lieu, take over someone's note. I mean, there's so many different strategies when it comes to investment where either you use the person's investment as your as your investment, meaning you just take over their mortgage, or if you use other people's money, like if you want to get private money or if you want to get hard money. There's so many different strategies. But before you get to the strategies, is there's a mindset. There's a belief that you can do it, that it is possible. And we talked a lot about that yesterday. I'm going to flip over into my book and see what I have for my playbook on day 2. Day 2 of becoming a legacy builder is where we invest. And if I had my Zoom, I would be sharing the screen, but I can't do that right now. So I just want to share with you. Let's see if you can see that. So, oh, it's backwards. It says, let's start the journey. So it's a journey. It's a process. This is not something that happens overnight. It's basically, I akin it to gardening. I like to garden. Part of gardening is you get the soils ready, right? You cultivate the soil before you plant the seeds. So you want to make sure you have some good soil and that you have the fertilizer in there. Then you get your seeds and you plant them. Now, you don't just plant them and leave them, right? You need to plant them, water them, maybe make sure that there's some sunlight. I don't know. Make sure that they're protected. I know in my neighborhood, I get rabbits and deer that love to eat up whatever I plant. So think about that in terms of your investment. When you're investing, you don't just prepare that investment and walk away from it. You prepare that investment and you maintain it. That's called being a good steward. So being a good steward means you're going to manage that property. Now, you may decide to be a hands-off manager. You may decide, I don't want to deal with property management. I've heard that property management is just about toilets and late rent. Well, that's part of it, but that's not all of it. Property management is what you're going to do to steward your property. Now, you could transfer that to someone else and have someone else manage the property for you, but you want to make sure you hire a good property manager. And the property manager is there to not only collect rent, but to make sure that your property is being maintained. So if there's something that goes wrong, you're the one that gets the call. I manage properties for others, and I also manage properties for myself. And I find that when I manage properties for others, I tend to be more conscious, more conscientious than I am with my own stuff. I tend to be a little more forgiving with my own property in terms of tenants as opposed to others. And I do that because I want to take better care of someone else's property. You know, just I want to take, I was going to say take better care of it than I would mine. But actually, I want to take just as good care of their investment property as I take care of my own personal property. Because I think that's, if we take care of our own, then it'll be a lot easier for us to take care of others. But when I say a little more lenient, I'm a little more lenient with the tenants, not the condition. I'm lenient with my own personal tenants. Whereas if I'm managing it for someone else, I'm more strict and rigid because that owner has other obligations and they're trusting me to make sure that they not only receive their rent on time, but their property is being managed well. Okay, just checking to see. Um, since I can't share my screen with you, I don't think there's a way to do this on Facebook Live. I just want to kind of take a step back because I've been rolling in this process, and I've been thinking about what would it take for someone who doesn't quite believe this is possible, someone who can't see the importance of creating a cultural legacy. And part of that importance to me, and I hope it's important to you, is our lives are limited, right? We only live so many years. We do all have an expiration date, whether we believe it or not. And the closer you get to realizing that your time is limited, it gets you to thinking, what are my final wishes? Now, this isn't meant to be a mood killer. This is meant to be a wake-up call. A wake-up call in the sense that we only have a limited amount of time here on earth. So we need to use it wisely. I just heard yesterday about someone that's very famous that I know, that I've seen and I've met before, that passed away suddenly at age 59. That's the same age as me. And when I think about that, I think, okay, what have I prepared for my family? What have I prepared for those who I love that I could pass on? So what that made me do is pull up all of our insurance policies, make sure that they're current, make sure that they're sufficient. I looked at my will, it's outdated, I need to update it. So there's things we need to do to shore ourselves up, right? So that when we have these investments, they'll be in order. I don't know about any of you, that many of you may or may not have some of the cryptocurrency or some stocks or things like that. Well, there's passwords that come with these various things, or bank accounts. There's passwords that come with all these things. And I thought, okay, part of my legacy is making sure that when I leave, that I have all my financials in order, all of my real estate in order, whether that means I'm going to quit claim it before I pass, or whether I'm going to change the deeds to share deeds with those that I want to leave property to. But I need to figure all this out. And so think about what you have going on. If you have investments, if you have, whether it's real estate or stock or all of that, if you were to pass away suddenly, would anyone have access to it? Would they know where to go? Would they know what you know, all those passwords, all those things? Now, you might think, oh, I don't need to worry about that right now. Well, so did the people that passed away like yesterday and the day before. You don't think about that because you think you're going to, I don't know, we think we're going to continue to live every day because that's that expectation. But being prepared. So that is what I want to encourage you today, is being prepared with these investments that you have. So as you acquire them, as you organize them, hopefully you organize them so that the person that is going to receive it from you receives a true inheritance and not an obligation. Not an obligation. So I'll share a short story, and in earth, right, Doris? So I'll share a short story of, because I don't think I shared this with this particular group before. It's kind of short, I believe. I lost you on Facebook. Okay. Okay. Are you, it sounds like you're here though, Miss Knight. I see your page. I see your, okay. Can you put in the chat if you can hear me on Facebook? Because I'm seeing some chats and it says live, so I'm believing I'm live. So if you could just engage me by putting something in the chat so that I know you're here. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So I'll share a short story. My father passed away in 2017. And prior to him passing away, he would always talk to me about what to do with his investments. He had several rental properties, duplexes, single family homes. Um, they had their own home. And he would always ask me what to do with them. He would take me around and I would collect rent with him. Even as an adult, I would still go with him on the weekends. Now, they lived in another state. But the reason I'm sharing this with you is you might see yourself in a story, or you might identify with this story. So he would ask me, and I happened to be at that time in real estate. He would ask me, well, what should I do with these properties? Well, he had one of them. Lost me again. I'm not quite sure why you are falling off, Nadia. It might be your signal. Hi, Kathleen. So I just want to finish this story. And if any of this resonates with you, just bring it on. Or if you have something that you'd like to share. But I'm sharing this because I want you to understand that when you're being coached and mentored by someone, sometimes you don't even realize until that person's gone. So he was coaching me and mentoring me along the way about real estate, and I didn't even know. But he would ask me about these properties. Now, one property we would go to collect rent, I was scared to go there. There was a pit bull downstairs. I don't know why you keep losing me, Nadia. There was a pit bull downstairs in their basement, and it was a 2-story duplex that had a room above. In the attic, the tenants had some other squatter there with no running water. It was not a good place to go to, and it wasn't safe. We would go up the stairs, and I would just be saying, Daddy, why do we have to collect the rent? Why don't you have somebody else do this? He always wanted to do it. He was a hands-on type of man. So we would go there all the time, collect rent. So this one particular place, out of all of his investments, he would say, what should I do with that one? I said, sell it. I said, it's an albatross around your neck. You never get full rent from these tenants, and it's not in a safe place. So he listened to me, and he ended up selling that one. But he would ask me, okay, with the other ones, he would say, I want to keep these investments, but I want to put them in your name. Just know that they're still my property, even though they're in your name. So I understood, we had this understanding that he was going to transfer the properties to my name. So he did this in literally 2016, late 2016. We met with an attorney. He actually transferred all of his investment deeds to me. I have a brother and I had a sister at the time, but I'm the youngest. And he said, well, I know that you will make sure that your brother and sister are cared for. So I'm not concerned about that. But just know these are my properties. They're not your properties. I said, okay. So what that meant was my name was on the deed, but he was still collecting the rent. He was still paying the property taxes. He was still paying the insurance. Okay, fast forward, 2017, February, March timeframe. I go to visit. He says, what should I do with the mortgage on this property that they own? He still had a mortgage on it. Rest of the properties were free and clear, or are free and clear. He said, what should I do with this house? I want to know about this mortgage insurance. Now, my father, even though he had a high school high school diploma, my mother, who only had an 8th grade education, knew more, or like she knew how to read and write better than him. He just was not, but he was a numbers man. He could see numbers. He could calculate numbers without even writing them down. So he asked about mortgage insurance. He looked, mortgage insurance would cost him, I think there was a monthly amount he could pay, and he wanted to understand what it was. So I explained to him, mortgage insurance is basically an insurance. If you die, the house will be paid off. He says, well, I could just pay it off, can I? I said, yeah, you could just pay it off if you choose to, or you could just keep paying the mortgage like you've been paying. And this was around February, March timeframe. He said, I think I'm just going to pay it off. I was like, whoa, why you want to pay it off right now? What's the big rush? He owed about $36,000 on it. I said, why do you want to pay it off? It's very low mortgage. You can afford it with your Social Security, with your rental income. No problem. He said, I just want to pay it off. I want to make sure that your mother doesn't have any um, issues with paying a mortgage when I'm gone. I was like, well, why are you worried about that? I mean, that's my mindset. Why are you worried about that? Because I, like many of us, don't think that the end is near. But somehow I think he knew. So he decided he paid it off, literally paid it off. I think it was, I want to say February 28th or early March. He paid off that mortgage and he was excited. I don't know why you keep losing connection, Nadia. He was excited for for paying off that mortgage. He was like, look, baby girl, I paid off the mortgage. I'm like, that's good, Daddy. I mean, I wish I could pay off my mortgage. I'm just kind of bantering back and forth with him. He was so excited about that. Fast forward June 4th, I get a call and I'm in church and my mother is calling me just nonstop. I'm literally in church and I'm looking at the phone ringing and I step out of the church and I call her back because I couldn't get the phone in time. I call her back and she said, your dad passed. I'm like, what? When someone tells you that, it's like total disbelief. But my mother, so calm, so sweet, so matter of fact, just said it. And from that day forward, well, actually, let's back up. Before that, I was going every 3 months to go see them. And right around the time that he passed was around the time I was planning to come up to visit them. And I just thought back and I said, that's why he wanted to pay off that mortgage. Everything that he did when I came up was teaching me how to be a leader, was teaching me how to manage real estate, it was teaching me how to handle investments. Now, you may have someone in your life that's teaching you or has taught you, and maybe you didn't see it as a lesson. Look back and see those lessons. And if you didn't have those lessons, create them. You can be the start. You can lay the foundation for creating your own cultural legacy. This is your time. This is your moment. This is your season. If not now, when? When are you going to create this? And remember, whatever it is you have, you can't take it with you. Somebody else is going to get it anyway. You don't want the government to get it. You don't want probate to happen, right? If you're not familiar with probate, I get calls all the time with people saying, hey, I want to sell this property, but it's in probate. Well, when it's in probate, you have to wait. When it's in probate, you have to wait. And when it's in probate, all of that equity, all of that investment starts to get eaten, right? It's getting eaten by what? Legal fees, expenses, whatever those debts are for that estate. So just a little bit ago, I talked about making sure you have your business in order, and that's part of it. That's part of it. Knowing where your accounts are, knowing the passwords, knowing how to get into them. I happen to be in my household one who manages the money. It's different in everyone's household. So in your household, are you the one managing it? And if you weren't here the next day, would someone be able to pick it up and see where they need to continue? Think about that. I want to encourage you to get ready. Be ready. If you have investments, protect them. Be a good steward. Manage them well. Be a good manager. If you don't have them, if you want strategies on how to acquire them, then we can do that in the VIP session. We can also do that one-on-one. I'm available to share my knowledge and to work. I've been at this for 28 years, actually more than that, but I've been licensed for 28 years. Prior to that, I was in the military, and prior to that, what was I? College. I literally went from college to military to real estate. Literally. I don't think I had a civilian job after the military, just part-time stuff. So this today, if there's nothing else you remember that the investments that you create are so you can leave an inheritance for your children's children. And while you're here, you get to enjoy them. You get to enjoy the fruit of them. I talked about gardening, planting seeds. Well, you get to enjoy the fruit of your labor. You labored, you purchased, you moved up, you got your own property. All of those things were for you and generations to come. I bring my grandsons with me to appointments so they can understand what it is their grandmother was doing, is doing. So when they're older, they can look back and say, wow, that's what she was teaching me. That's what she was teaching me. Now I understand. Just like I can look back and see what my father was teaching me. And now I understand. Now I understand. I didn't understand then. I didn't want to understand. And maybe, like me, you don't think that that's necessary, but it is very necessary. It's very necessary to get an understanding of where you came from. That's part of the culture piece. Where you came from, those values, those ideas, those ways of doing things. One of the ways of doing things that was in my family was we didn't talk about money. That's the one thing that I lacked, that I needed an understanding of. So as I acquired real estate and amassed real estate, I didn't really understand the money piece. And that money piece is crucial to maintaining that real estate, being a good steward. I got caught up in 2008 and lost because I didn't really understand the money piece. I understand acquiring property. That was great. Get an understanding. What is it? The Bible says, in all you're getting, get an understanding. So get an understanding. If you're interested in investing and you want to know how to do a particular type of investment, get an understanding. Get some knowledge. Take some classes. Get some mentorship, some guidance. Understand what it is you're doing so you can not just have it for yourself, but be able to pass that on for generations to come, to be able to leave an inheritance for your children's children. Yes, I am so sorry that people are not able to hear me. Is it just you, Nadia? Or, let's see. Okay, I'm not sure if it's just you or everyone else is having the same issue, but I'll find out what happened with my Zoom. I'm seeing my Zoom, but for some reason it is not, yeah, I have two Zoom screens. Weird. Okay. Yeah, two Zoom screens. So I'm on two different Zooms. So let me rewind. If this has been of value to you and you want to go a little deeper, I want to invite you into the VIP session, and that's where we get to go a little deeper and I get to help you. I get to help you. It's not about what I've acquired. It's about what you want to acquire and what you want to maintain, what you want to manage when it comes to what you're owning, what you want to invest in. And tomorrow we're going to talk about legacy because we can't take it with us. We can't take it with us. So that is tomorrow's piece. So today I want to remind you about the playbook. And I wanted to show you this picture on the back. Maybe you could see it a little bit. It's in black and white. This picture was taken in front of my parents' house. This is on the, I guess it's flipped. That's my father, my mother, my sister, myself, and my brother. And with that, that's the house that my brother lives in now, because my mother is living with me. But my father said that inside that house that he was going to pay it off, and he did. And right after he paid it off, within 90 days, he had passed. So he left that for my mother. He left that for his children. So the year after, and that's one other thing I want to talk to you, kind of leading to tomorrow, is when you transfer the asset to avoid probate or to avoid inheritance tax, you do that before the person passes away. Hence, if they pass away and there's no will, then there's probate. If they pass away and there's a will, then it follows the will. You may still have to get attorneys involved because properties sometimes have mortgages. Sometimes you need assistance in getting your name on the deed. All of those things are necessary. But what he did with that particular property, after he paid it off, he went back to that same attorney without me knowing. He went back to that same attorney and asked for the type of deed that would not only transfer to my mother automatically upon his, because she's already on it, she would stay on it for a year, and after a year it would revert to all of the siblings. So after that year, there's a type of deed you can get. He called it, or I found out it was called, a death deed. It may be called something different in different states, but there are types of deeds that you can prepare in advance if you want to ensure that those properties go to the right people. You don't want, I hope you don't want, properties to go to people that they shouldn't go to. One short example of that, my sister passed away in 2018 and she owned two properties. One property was called Two Twins, which happens to be my niece and nephew. The other property was her primary residence. Her husband automatically, by law, received those properties. Just in a marriage, in most, I believe in all states, if there's a community property, it goes to the surviving spouse. No problem. Now, when that surviving spouse passed away, when my brother-in-law passed away, he had reunited with one of his daughters, and right before he passed away, he created a will which protected his assets and transferred all of his assets to his daughter, leaving Two Twins out, even though there's property named Two Twins. Do you want your property to be passed on to someone else, even though you have a plan in place that you want things to go a certain way? Well, the only way to, let me fix this. Let's see. I don't want that to fall. The only way to protect that is to ensure either one, you have a will, or two, you set up the property in such a way that those transfers occur prior to death or transfer upon death. Those are different types of deeds that we can go into some detail about in the VIP session or one-on-one. If you like that, we can go, maybe you have a specific problem that we can go over. I'd love to do that, a specific problem. And I know the law is different in different states, so it's important to research the law in your state to know what would be the best option. Either use an attorney or title company, but getting your properties in place so that when you pass away, you'll be able to transfer them, or they'll be able to go to who you want them to go to. I'm sure in my brother-in-law's mind, he was doing the right thing. He was passing on his legacy to his daughter. My sister, she named that property to twins, so she knew without a doubt that property was going to go to them. But if you don't prepare those investments correctly, if you don't prepare so that when you pass away, they transfer to the right people, you're just leaving it up to chance. It's just, hey, whatever happens, happens. And you might not care. I hope you do, because the person you leave it to, or you plan to leave it to, cares. My niece and nephew care, but they can't do anything about it now. There's something I've decided to do about that, which is a whole nother story that we could talk about tomorrow. But I wanted to share with you about, how those property transfers are so important when it comes to your investments. Maybe you're at the start of getting an investment. Maybe you're at that beginner stage where you have a property and you're considering using that as your first investment and maybe buying something else. Maybe you want to do some room share where you rent out rooms. I mean, there's a myriad of ways to start the investment strategies, but it's unique to you. And that's a way to create more income for yourself. Renting out rooms, buying property, wholesaling, many strategies. Again, we can talk about that in a VIP session. So if you look inside the Facebook group, you will see the VIP. There's a link on that. The VIP is $47. The playbook, which I have here, the playbook, I don't want to put the word play because it's backwards on the screen. Oh, all this is backwards on the screen. So the playbook is $7. The playbook proceeds are going to St. Jude's. Each month I'll have a different group that I'm sharing the proceeds with. I love children. That's my heart, my passion, are both children and older people. I don't want to say old people, but older people. Children, I believe children are, they express things and they're unfiltered. So are older people, unfiltered in what they think, what they say. They just let it out. If it's on their heart, they speak it. They also dream. I want us to have that kind of mindset, that childlike mindset when it comes to thinking about what it is you want to create. Think about what is it that you want to create. Do I want to create a legacy that I can leave for my children's children? Do I want to create something that they would really remember me for, as opposed to creating things for yourself and amassing debt, amassing things that they would have an obligation to unravel, right? Are you leaving something heavy, or are you leaving something light? I believe my father left me something light. He prepared it in such a way that I can say, this is good. This is good. It's good for me. It's good for my mother. It's good for my brother. And it was good for my sister when she was living. It's a good thing. So what good thing are you passing on to your family, to your grandchildren? And maybe you don't have grandchildren yet, but the Bible says a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. That's what you're leaving behind, that inheritance. So tomorrow, I'll get this Zoom thing figured out, and I'll be on Zoom. And Friday, happy Thanksgiving, by the way, in advance. Friday, I will have a guest, and that guest is going to speak on some financing strategies, whether you're an owner looking to maybe purchase more property, or if you're an investor looking to purchase more property. I'll have a guest speaker on. I was debating on a guy versus a girl. Maybe I might have them both on. Haven't quite ironed that out, but I just wanted to let you know what the plan is. Tomorrow we'll be talking about legacy, how to create it, what are some things you can do. I will post the homework in the Facebook group. Remember, those of you who are either doing your homework, purchasing the playbook, sharing your biggest takeaway. It was one other thing. So if you do those things, you'll enter into a drawing, which I'll have at the end of tomorrow's broadcast. You get entered into a drawing for an Amazon gift card or a Yeti mic. And if you're not familiar with a Yeti mic, we can work on that together. I can show you how to use that in Zoom when my Zoom is working. Yeti mic, and also a ring light. A ring light is like the light I'm using to be able to broadcast. So playbook, $7, VIP. Oh yeah, go live was the fourth one. Thank you, Nadia. The fourth one is go live. So you have 4 opportunities to be entered into a drawing. Who doesn't want to receive something for free, right? A free drawing. So just go live, share your biggest takeaway, purchase the playbook. Now I keep losing my chain of thought. Purchase the playbook. That's really the first thing I'd like, because those proceeds go to St. Jude. Go live, share your biggest takeaway, and do your homework. There we go. Do your homework. So you will get the homework in the Facebook group. Homework in the Facebook group. Do your homework. Homework is there to really, it's for you. It's not for me. The homework is there for you. And this playbook is something you keep, and you can use it time and time again. Each challenge that I do will be a little different, and I'll have a different playbook each time. And each playbook will go toward a different charity. This month is St. Jude's. Last month it was suicide prevention, the John Redmond Fund. So thank you for being here today. And this is the end of today's session. Just want to thank you for being here and remind you again to go in. This is all for you. This is something that I've experienced, blood, sweat, and tears, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So it's like I'm opening the behind the scenes in the VIP. So we get to go deeper, further, faster, and we get to focus on what it is you want to create when it comes to creating a cultural legacy. So I thank you for listening. And for those of you who weren't able to get on to Facebook, you'll be able to see this on the Facebook Live. Zoom will be working tomorrow, guaranteed. Okay, I said it, I believe it. All right, do I have anything else, Miss Nadia, before I go? And then I'll just close it up. I will close it up. All right, I don't see anything. So I will see you tomorrow. Happy Thanksgiving. Watch the replays. All right, bye-bye.